Welcome to another episode of Effortless Coding. My name is Samuel and I'm glad that you've joined us in this new episode. In this particular episode, we'll be talking about the area tag. Now, I'll give you a context basically. Assuming that you're tired with writing a menu that is full of text and you want to convert an image into a clickable link to a specific page within your website, how are you going to do that? Remember the anchor tag. The anchor tag is basically used to do text links, text hyperlinks. But let's assume you want to use an image. You have an image, for example, your logo that you want to split into, for example, 3 parts or 2 parts, so that one part, if you click one part, it goes to another page and the other part goes to another page within that specific image. How are you going to achieve that? In this particular episode, we'll talk about the area tag. Now, one thing about area tags is that you can't use area tags independently. An area tag must be defined within what we call a map tag. And a map tag, or rather an image map. And an image map is denoted by a map tag. An image map refers to an image that has clickable areas. So an area tag must be defined within an image map, and this image map is denoted by the map tag. So in as much as we're going to tackle the area tag, we will also tackle the map tag. And remember, we are talking about images, so we are not going to forget the image. So we'll also have to deal with the image tag. So let's start with the image tag. Most people think that images are inserted in web pages. Kindly note that whatever image you see in a web page is never inserted. Those images are linked. Those images are hosted in a different place, but they are linked to your home page. Not like text, the way you insert text in a HTML page. The image is never inserted in your HTML text, but it's always linked. And for you to link that image to your HTML page, you must use the image tag. So the syntax for using the image tag is very simple. Do a less than sign, then the small, the abbreviation for image, that is img, space source. Now source, as I told you, will link images to HTML page. So the source, the src attribute within an image tag, defines where this image is located. So if you don't specify a folder within this particular attribute, it means that image is located on the root folder. In this case, since it's an example, we'll put our image on the root folder and we'll call it effortless.jpg. JPG means that image is JPEG. The format for that image is JPEG. Within the source attribute src, as you can see on my screen, so type src is equals to 2 double quotes, within it type effortless.jpg, then space. Another attribute that is very good to work within an image, especially when the image doesn't render, it's always good not to leave your people who are accessing the browser, to leave them just like that. It's always good to make sure that they have something written. So if the image doesn't render well, or if the net is slow and you need to render your image, it's always good to do an alt. So that is alt. So type alt is equals to 2 double quotes. Within the double quotes, type effortless coding. So if this image doesn't render on your browser, maybe due to internet and all that, you'll be able to see the word effortless coding being written in place of the image. Now remember, I told you we're going to use this image in our image map, so that this is the image where we'll create areas to be clicked, to be linked to other pages within our website. So there is another attribute that is very important for that, to link to our image map, and it's called the usemap attribute. So type usemap, USEMAP as an attribute, is equals to 2 double quotes. Within the double quotes, you remember when I told you how to, when we talked about the anchor tag, I told you to go and do research on how to link one section of your page, for example, the top section of your web page, to the bottom. And I gave you a tip and told you you'll have to use a hashtag. So here it will come in very handy. So within the within the usemap attribute, I want you to type within those particular double quotes, hashtag, then say effortless, just the word effortless. I'll explain. Then space, right? You have to define the width and the height, because these areas have to be within a specific dimensions. Within specific dimensions. So make sure that the width and the height of your image has been defined. In this case, let's give the width of the image to be 400 pixels. and for the height to be 379. There is a very big reason why you should define the width and the height, because the area we define must use what we call coordinates. One attribute of the area tag is a coordinate, and these coordinates must be within the width and the height of your image. Now that we've defined that image, I hope you now know how to do the syntax for the image tag. It's just the image. The two required attributes for an image tag are the source, where that image has been hosted, and the alt tag, which is supposing that your internet is slow or the image doesn't render, you have something in place of that particular image, like a text or something. So once we've done that, I hope now you understand how the image tag works. Let's go to the map tag. Remember, I told you we are doing an image map, and an image map just is denoted by the map tag. So I want you to open immediately after the image tag. I hope you've closed the image tag, and remember the image tag is also an empty tag. It does not have a closing tag. It doesn't have an end tag. So an image tag just is an empty tag. So let's open, underneath that, let's open the map tag. So type less than sign, as you can see on my screen, map, then space, then give an attribute within this particular map tag, an attribute called name. I'll explain. The name, give it, say name is equals to 2 double quotes, within the double quotes write effortless. Then close that opening map tag with a greater than sign. Now let me explain why we are saying the name should be effortless. Remember, in our image tag we said use map, and we gave a hashtag work map, effortless. So that hashtag effortless is what is linking to the name map in this case, so that the map tag knows that it is using this particular image that we've defined just above it, using the map. Remember, we said use map, so it will reference to the name effortless when it comes to a map image. When it comes to an image map. So if it finds any map tag that has the name effortless, it will link to that particular image whose attribute for use map is equals to effortless. So I hope you've understood. We're just linking the image to the map itself. And for us to do the linkage, we have to say under image, we have to use the attribute use map and say hashtag effortless. You can choose any other name. When it comes to the map tag, you have to say the name. You have to give the attribute name, and it has to refer now to that hashtag, which is effortless, but now without the hashtag. So I hope you've understood that. Now that we've opened our map tag, remember I told you the area tag, which is the basis of our discussion today, is actually defined within the map tag. So you cannot have an area map that does not have an image map. It has to be defined within a map tag. So you can have more than one area maps. As I told you, in this particular example, we want to define two areas. One will be rectangular in shape, the other one will be circular in shape. So it means the first link we are creating within this image called effortless.jpg will be a rectangle. So if we click within that rectangle, it will take us to another web page. Then we'll also create another area that is circular in shape, so that if you click within that particular area, it will take you to a different web page altogether. But we are just using that one image, but within that one image, we've created the different areas. So now that we've written our opening, we've typed our opening map tag, I want you to now open the first area tag type, as you can see on my screen, less than sign, the word area. Then the first attribute that we're going to define here within this area tag will be the shape attribute. Basically, it says that whatever area we're going to create is we'll give it a shape. So the first one will give it a shape that is rectangular in nature. So we'll just say under the shape attribute, say shape is equals to 2 double quotes. Within the double quotes, just write RECT, which means rect. Then give coordinates. Now I'll explain these coordinates. For the rectangular shape, coordinates are different as opposed to circular shape. Now there are 3 different shapes that you use when it comes to areas. You can have a rectangular area, you can have a circular area and a polygonal area. So remember those three different types of shapes within the area map. So let's start with the the rectangular shape. We've already defined the shape attribute. So in terms of the coordinates, just type, as you can see on my screen, COORDS. That is another attribute that you can use within the area tag, that you must use within the area tag. So say COORDS, meaning coordinates, is equals to 2 double quotes. Within the double quotes, write 34, 44, 270, 350. Now let me explain what this means, so that I don't have to explain when it comes to the other examples. So when we do coordinates, the first two coordinates, that is 34, 44, as per our example, will define the top left corner of this rectangle. Remember, a rectangle is four-sided, so the top left corner is defined by the first two figures within the coordinates. So the 34, 44 means the x value of that top left corner is 34 and the y value is 44. For those people who've done the quadrant, I'm sure you understand when I talk of x and y. So it means our top left apex or our top left point will be 34 units on the x-axis and 44 units on the y-axis. That will be the first point within our rectangular size. And remember, I told you we've already defined the rectangle itself on the image, and that is why it's important to know the dimensions, so that when you're defining the area, you don't go past the width that you've already defined for your image. The last two figures within the codes, when you're defining a shape as rectangular in an area, will refer to the bottom right corner of that particular rectangle that you're doing. So when you're saying 34, 44, and then 270, 350, it means that we've already defined what our rectangle is, the rectangular area where we would want to link it. Then the other attribute, as always, as I've told you, when you're doing an image, you have to do an alt. So do an ALT is equals to, this might refer to where you're gonna link this particular area to. So in our example, let's say we are linking it to SkyZone. So within the alt, just say SkyZone. Then remember, when we talked about the anchor tag, the most important attribute is the href tag, which actually defines the path where you're linking this particular page to. So do also the href attribute, and then say within it http:// www.skyzone.co.ke. So with that, we've already defined the rectangular area, where if we click within this particular image, it will take us to that particular SkyZone website. You can feed it any of your web pages. If you're creating a website, you can create any link that you want with the href tag. I mean, the href attribute. Now, in this second example, the second area tag, we are going to define a circular area, and the coordinates will be different. They'll no longer be 4 as we've seen in the rectangular shape. There'll be 3, and I'll explain when you get there. So just type, as you can see on my screen, less than sign, area, space, the shape attribute, say circle, then space, then write codes in small letters. That means coordinates, just as we did in the first one, is equals to, in this case, say 337, 300, and then 44. So these are 3. Remember, these are 3 figures. In the first one, we had 4. In the circular, when you're defining an area that is circular, it has to have only 3 figures. Now, the first two figures will define the center of the circle, where you want the center of the circle to be. So it's the x value and the y value of the center of the circle. So if we do 337, 300, it means you're going on the x-axis, or rather in terms of the dimensions, 337 units or pixels to the right, and then 300 pixels to the top, or rather on the y-axis on the positive side. So it means that point is where we'll have the center of our circle. Now the third figure the third figure in our codes attribute within the circle shape defines the radius of the circle. So now that you have the center of the circle, the 44 in our example refers to the radius of this circle. So you have the point, the radius will actually be 44 units. So you can create your circle with that particular radius. So with that, we'll have created our circular area. Then let's feed in the other attributes. We'll have alt. Alt, you can say Nkaulele TV within the alt, because we want to link this to the Nkaulele website. Then href, as we did in the previous one, I want you to type http://www.nkauleletv.com. Then close the area tag with a greater than sign. Now the area tag is also another tag that is an empty tag. It does not have an end tag or a closing tag. So the moment you just do area tag, define all the attributes and the greater than sign, you don't need to close them. But now the map tag is not an empty tag. So after you've nested all your area tags within the map tag, you need to close the map tag. So now that we've defined two areas, you can define as many as possible based on your image. But in this particular example, we'll just do the two. So let's close the image map by doing a closing map tag, which is less than sign /map. And with that, we've actually created our image, and we've made our image have clickable areas that will link to websites that we've defined in our areas. So I want you to save our myfirsthtml.html document, as you can see on our screen. Then go to the browser, refresh. If you're not opened that particular site, I want you to do that. Then refresh. As you can see on my screen, you should be able to see that image. And when you see the way I'm hovering, you'll see there's a rectangular side. If I click, it will take me to skyzone.co.ke. And then there's that circular side. The circular shape. If I click, it should actually take me to nkauleletv.com. So that is how you can use an image as a link. You need to do more research on this, because you never know, because at your workplace or a contract that you might be given to do, you might be given an image and told to split that image into two in terms of clickable areas. So make sure you do more research on this. But I hope you've learned a thing or two about the map tag, the image tag, and the area tag. Remember, area tag does not work independently. It must work with the map tag, and the map tag must work with an image tag, or rather an image. So make sure that you note that, and whenever you do the practicals, make sure you actually nest your areas within the image map. Never do an area tag outside the image tag. And with that, we come to the end of this particular episode. I hope you've learned a thing or two, and until next time, kudos!